Hello and welcome. Today we're trying some stuff new. Let me know what you think. So I did a little bit different. Had some technical difficulties apparently with getting it fixed. But I wanted to go and do things just a smidge bit different because I thought maybe let's mix it up a little bit. So rather than waiting and showing the intro after talking, I thought I would go ahead and show the intro and then see what you think. And so here we are. So please leave comments below or in the chat, which, by the way, I've got. Here, let me show you. Oh my gosh, it did it again. Nope, there it is. Woohoo! So now when you join, you will get to see it works. Yay, right there. You'll get to chat and I'll be able to see it. So, and then this is an option too. And apparently it takes a second for it to pop up. Don't know why exactly, because I had the exact same thing, but is it working? No. Let's go back to this one. See, that one works. Maybe I need to work on this one. That took a second. All right, well, anyway. So I guess I'll have to fix whatever the heck is wrong with that one. Let's go back to, let's go to this one. Ooh, there we go. Awesome. All right. So today we're going to be talking about the difference between a business trust and an LLC. They both have their pros. They both have their cons. Neither one entity is perfect. And so each one is specific to you. What's right for you? What's right for your individual situation? That's why these videos are meant for education, not meant to discuss your specific scenario, because each matter is going to be facts dependent, right? Specific. You're going to want to make sure that you're getting the advice that's right for you. One of my big issues with a lot of social media is everybody has opinions and they all stink, so to speak. And they're not always right. As I was saying in my video yesterday about staying in your lane, in regards to, I don't tell a plumber how to do their job. I don't tell an electrician how to do their job. You know, I expect that they know what they're talking about. Are people perfect? No. I mean, we get doctors that don't always know the right thing. I think they have a higher percentage and likeliness of knowing the right thing and to do the right thing, but they're still human. They still make mistakes. They still have opinions. Just like, for instance, okay, here's a good one. Supreme Court decisions. This is legal specific to me. I don't have to agree with them, but I do have to follow them. So it doesn't matter what I think. It only matters what the court thinks. They're the ultimate decider of case law. Okay. So if it's heard by the Supreme Court and it comes down something that I don't agree with, that doesn't change that that's the law. And are there ways to get that changed? Absolutely. But in that instance, it's my opinion, you know? There's a difference between fact and opinion, and there's a lot of misunderstanding in social media, cyber world, about the difference between fact and opinion, right? So one of the things that you want to keep in mind is that as you're growing your business, to look to sources that are reputable, okay, in law. And so to give you a little bit of background on myself, I have a law degree. I have a MBA in financial management. I also have a master's in forensic science and a bachelor's degree in criminology. I spent a lot of time in school. And one of the things, I also teach. I teach business law at a local community college. Now, I don't tell you this that's not my goal in why I'm telling you this, my people. I tell you this because one of the things that they teach us is to go with reputable sources. Wikipedia is not a reputable source. They are not a reputable source. Okay. They are the opposite of a reputable source. Okay. Because people can edit the entries. So what does that mean to you? How do you know what's true, what's right? Well, for one thing, seeking out reputable sources. The Mayo Clinic is a good one for medicine. CDC, FDA. FDA? Yeah, there we go. Sorry, it just sounded weird. FAA, FDA. There we go. Sorry. Seeking out reputable sources. Are they the sole harbinger of all that is right? No. Are there going to be things that are outliers, that are going to be errors, mistakes, things of that nature? Absolutely. So when you're thinking about these questions, and that's one of the reasons why I do these videos, is to give you some additional insight into business law, business and law, and business law, and to educate you. I'm not pretending I know it all. There is so much stuff that I don't know, but these are my areas. These are my things that get me up in the morning, the opportunity to help you, the things that I learn in order to help your business. Okay? Because at the end of the day, if I can help your business grow or help your business at all, and you're more successful, then the natural effect is you're able to hire people, and you're able to create jobs, and people can have income that they wouldn't otherwise have. And so all of these things that I do is to benefit you and your family immediately, and your employees and their families, and so on and so forth. Okay? Hold on one second. My intent is to help you. And that's why I do what I do. So today, as I said, we're going to be talking about the difference between a limited liability company and a business trust. And there are some people out there, some attorneys, or I guess I've seen ads for them. I'm not saying they're attorneys necessarily, but there are some people out there that are like, no, do a business trust. That's the best way to go. You don't want to do an LLC. Well, that's not accurate, because in some instances, an LLC is the right choice. In some instances, a business trust is the right choice, and sometimes you can use them in combined. So I'm going to go over the pros and the cons a little bit, the verses, and you're going to kind of get a better idea of what might be the right fit for you. Again, specifically speaking, though, you want to hire an attorney in your local area to make sure that you're well protected in the way that you should. Don't, just like you wouldn't operate surgery on yourself, like hopefully, I'd like to think that you, as my listener, are intelligent enough to recognize that surgery, cutting something of yourself off or whatever, is a bad idea without the proper training, right? And so that's really the same type of thing that we're talking about here, is that going alone and trying to do this, the DIY plan usually ends up in a bad scenario for you. And I can say that with some accuracy because I fix a lot of DIY stuff. That's just the truth. Can you do it yourself? Yeah, sure, you can. Should you do it yourself? That's a better question. Probably not. Just like you shouldn't cut on yourself, right? You're going to end up in more pain than if you'd have done it the right way under general anesthetic and had surgery and so on and so forth. You get what I'm saying. So let's kind of talk a little bit about what a limited liability company is. Okay, it is a business entity. It's a formal business entity. A sole proprietorship is not. It's an informal business entity. And a DBA, which is also a doing business as, or you get it through filing a fictitious business name statement, is still not a formal business entity. It's just a name. It's putting the public on notice that you're going to be doing your business as something other than yourself. Okay? So why is that important? Because a formal business entity gives you structure. And with that structure comes liability protection against the claims of creditors. The limits, and this is why it's a limited liability company, not an unlimited liability company or limited anyway, is it's limited to the amount you've invested or the assets within the business. So I always like to use the bubble analogy. Within an LLC, when you put air into a bubble, right? I guess that looked weird potentially. I'm not smoking anything. I'm blowing into a bubble. So when you blow into a bubble, you're putting air into that bubble. Okay, makes sense so far, right? You're putting something of yourself into a bubble. Now, that bubble exists, assuming you don't pop it, with everything that's inside of it. So as it gets bigger, okay, that air inside that bubble exists. That's how a limited liability company works without the popping factor. There are some instances in which it can be popped, which is called piercing the corporate veil, but we're not going to touch that. Those are rare. They don't happen very frequently, and generally speaking, they don't happen. It's very, very rare, so I'm not even going to worry about that at this point. Okay, so the limited liability company, your assets are at risk, are the things that are housed or within the bubble. Anything outside the bubble is not at risk, which is why if you have personal assets or you have third-party liabilities potentially, that's where an LLC comes in, and that's why it's handy. But it's not a perfect entity. It's a very good entity. It's a hybrid between, as I mentioned earlier, that sole proprietorship, and now I'm talking about a corporation. A corporation is a very well-known type of entity, has a very fixed structure, very formal structure to it. And the LLC is the hybrid between those two. It has components of the sole proprietorship, and it has components of the corporation, but not in its entirety. It's not a corporation. Anybody that says otherwise doesn't know what the flip they're talking about. Okay. That's it. So that's what a limited liability company is. You're limited to the liability of what's housed within that LLC. That's how it works. It's very simple. Okay. Now a trust is a different thing. Trust is an entity that holds the assets for the benefits of someone else. Most people know the term trust fund baby. Okay. We're not going to go into that, but the idea is that money is held in trust, someone is a trustee, and then they're given an allotment based upon that trust. Sometimes it's before their parents have passed away. Other times it's after their parents have passed away. It depends on the trust, depends on how it's set up. There's lots of variations. If you need a trust and estate attorney, I've got friends that do it and would love to help you out. So we're not going to touch those types of trusts. A business trust holds all of the business assets, just like an LLC does. Except for there's some big differences, and we'll talk about those in just a second. So but it's for the benefit of others is the key to a trust at all, period. So the trustee doesn't technically own those assets. It's for the benefit of others. Okay. One of the positive things about business trusts, in California anyway, other states this may be different, that business trusts are not subject to the California minimum tax because they're not a business. They're not a formal entity. And the California minimum tax is $800. So that's kind of like your gimme. Like you just automatically get $800. You're automatically going to get charged $800 if you start a corporation or an LLC or a partnership. Okay, any formal business entity. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people start out as a sole proprietor, because they don't want to be taxed that $800. It has some validity to it, but there's some arguments against that, and I'm not going to touch those today, but I generally recommend that you start with a business entity if under some certain circumstances. That I'll just say the number one is if you own a home. That's number one. Number two is if you have significant assets. that could be attached. Okay. However, a business trust does not shield assets from the claims of creditors. It's not a business entity. It can't be treated as such. So theoretically, a business trust, you do a business trust, they hold all of the assets. They could still come after you as an individual trustee or the beneficiary, not as the beneficiary, as the trustee for your personal assets as well, if you're holding that business. We'll talk about a hybrid option in just a second. So let me just see, personal. So your personal assets are still at risk with the business trust because you don't have a liability shield. So you see, it's not a perfect entity. And if you hear someone that says otherwise, know they're just trying to set you up with something. Plus, a business trust is a lot more complicated to set up. So maybe it's not worth it because you'd be saving that $800 all for the sake of spending more on getting it set up. Just throwing it out there, just an idea. Okay, so an LLC is subject to that California minimum tax of $800. It's not debatable. It's you start it, you're obligated to doing it. I look at it as a cost of doing business. It's $800. It's not the end of the world. If it's protecting your assets, it's giving your business legitimacy, I think it's worth the $800 personally. Not trying to spend your money for you, but I see a lot more positives than negative with business trusts than I in that respect. Okay, so however, and this is kind of where an LLC outshines a business trust a little bit anyway, is that an LLC, you know how I said it's a hybrid of entity, and one of the hybrid parts of it is very simple, taxes. So you save that minimum tax, but a business trust, you're taxed on its income, on its total income. Less expenses, obviously. It's treated similar to a business entity, but you don't get the same pass-through taxation to your personal situation as you do in an LLC. In LLC, you get pass-through taxation, which means if you have a loss in the business, that can help alleviate your tax liability in other areas of your life. Simple. But you don't get that with the business trust. It's just not how it works. The LLC, you do get personal asset protection. So your home, substantial assets are all protected in an LLC that you don't get in the business trust. Now, a business trust, where it shines is it helps you avoid probate and you reducing estate taxes. Pretty simple. And for those of you who don't know, probate is what happens when you draw a will and you die. It's called probating a will. And basically the judge goes through it to make sure that that the person's interests are being upheld. A trust skips over that. You're basically appointing a private judge. That's what a trust does in that instance, and to distribute assets accordingly. And again, we're not going to touch trusts and estates in this episode, or pretty much ever. No, maybe not ever, but not anytime soon. So anyway, that is what a business trust is good for. Now you can combine the benefits of a LLC and a business trust to give you kind of a hybrid protection. And there's lots of different ways of doing it, the way that I've done it in the past. So don't think that this is the end-all, beat-all, everything, and certainly don't go running to someone else and say, well, Taylor said to do this, and they disagree with me, because there's lots of different ways of doing lots of different things. Anyway, so what I've done in the past is I'll form an LLC. They already have a trust, and I'll make the trustee the sole member of the LLC. So you're getting your asset protection within the LLC. You're getting the pass-through taxation benefit to the trust, and the trust assets are safe from the business workings of the LLC. Downside, you still have to pay that $800 minimum tax. The upside, an LLC by its default ends at death. So if you appoint trustees to it, or the trust to manage it, it can go on forever. It creates a good scenario for it's kind of like a corporation in that respect. A corporation can shareholders. I'm not going to go there, but you know what I'm saying. A corporation allows for after death things to happen that an LLC just doesn't by its nature. Okay. So these are the things that you want to think about when you're thinking business trust or LLC. Some people have stronger feelings on the matter. I'm more of the do what's right for the client than I do about you have to do it this way or you have to do it that way. And some of these strategies are advanced strategies, something that it may not apply, and you're just overcomplicating things for not a lot of reason, especially if you don't have a lot of assets. Yeah, like if someone's trying to sell you on a business trust and you don't have a ton of assets to worry about at this point, I think that's overkill. Personally, I think that's a waste of money on doing it. But if you have substantial assets, you're starting a business and you already have a trust, well, then you have some reasons to do it the other way. Again, lots of different ways to do different things, but these are the differences between the business trust and the LLC. And it's pretty simple, ish. But so yeah, here we go. That's it. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave comments below. And if you join me live, we'll have the live chat up. I would love to see some of you and get to know you and see you on screen. Maybe I'll recruit some friends to maybe come join me and talk, make it interesting, or maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so if you've gotten value out of this video, don't forget to hit subscribe and like, and know we go live Monday through Friday, except for holidays, at 11 a.m. And I look forward to talking with you soon. Have a good one.